Deadly violence has erupted along the Gaza border today as the U.S. Embassy officially opened its doors in Jerusalem. The move has been met with anger from Palestinians who see East Jerusalem as a future capital. More than 50 Palestinian protesters have been killed, including 6 children. But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is defending the country's action in Gaza, saying Israel has an obligation to defend the border.
The injuries started early. This young man was shot in his lower leg as he tried to pull at Israel's fence. It's the 7th Friday of what protesters here call the Great March of Return. A pattern well established by now, tires brought right to the front and set on fire to obscure Israeli sniper positions. Many Palestinians have been coming here every Friday for 7 weeks now.
We are not going to stop our protests. We will not move until we get our rights. If the international community was honest with us and implemented the two-state solution that was promised, our lives would be so much better. No one can accept living under this siege. There is no light at the end of the tunnel.
There was a constant volley of tear gas, another established pattern now. Israeli soldiers firing close to the fence and right to the back of the crowds.
This is what we've been seeing happening for the last couple of hours. A lot of tear gas being thrown into the crowd, and then the youth here picking it up and throwing it back towards the fence.
Young people here are frustrated. They have spent 11 years growing up under an Israeli and Egyptian siege. They say they feel suffocated. There are no jobs. Unemployment is over 60%. And that's the highest rate in the world.
We're besieged in Gaza by everyone, including the Arab countries. We Palestinians, especially here in Gaza, we want our rights. We need our rights, just like the rest of the world. We just want a good life. No one is better than us. We deserve a good life too.
Throughout the day, a steady stream of injuries. We counted several gunshot wounds to the lower part of the body. The crowds appear smaller this Friday. Everyone is preparing for Monday, when protests are planned to mark what Palestinians call the Nakba, or catastrophe, the 70th anniversary of the creation of the State of Israel, which displaced hundreds of thousands of Palestinians from their homes. It also coincides with the U.S. Embassy's move to Jerusalem. We ask Obaida what will happen.
The 14th of May will be a surprise. We're preparing a lot of surprises for Israel. You will see them on May the 14th.
No one is sure exactly what will happen, but from everyone we've spoken to, Palestinians are determined to come out in huge numbers. Stephanie Decker, Al Jazeera, East Gaza.
Well, our correspondent Faraz Kilani is in Gaza. Faraz, just what's the latest on the ground where you are now?
Actually, it was a very bloody day, as Richard said in the piece. Now it's confirmed 52 Palestinians killed by Israeli fire while they were trying to cross this fence here, the bordering fence with Israel. All the day, the demonstrations, thousands of Palestinians were demonstrating against Trump's decision to move the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. During the day, I followed the protesters, and I can confirm that it was a peaceful protest. But when we advanced with the protesters to the fence, I can confirm that the Israeli fighters or soldiers, were firing at the civilians, direct on their legs, sometimes on their chests, and they killed, until now, 52 of them confirmed, and more than 2,000 injured.
And Faraz, today's disturbances, are they linked specifically to the opening of the U.S. Embassy, or are they perhaps linked to the upcoming anniversary of the creation of the State of Israel, or is it part of the ongoing protest against occupation and so on?
Actually, it's an important question because today it's because of the move of the embassy, but tomorrow is expected to be a very big demonstration because it's the anniversary of the creation of Israel, which is known for the Palestinians as the catastrophe. So tomorrow, what will happen is the Palestinians will go to bury their beloved 52 people who killed here today, and then they will come here to demonstrate. Hamas said something very interesting at the end of today. They don't want the people to come. That it was a confusing statement, but other factions here in Gaza, they said, no, we will come. And you can imagine the situation with all this anger, how the Palestinians will come here, thousands of them, and the 70th anniversary of what they call the catastrophe, to demonstrate here again. They will try to cross again this fence to return to their land. This is what they said. It's not Israel for them, it's Palestine. So it's expected to be bigger than today and more bloody.
All right, on that note, we'll leave it. Faraz Kilani in Gaza. Thanks, Faraz.
Noura Erakat is a human rights attorney, assistant professor at George Mason University, and a specialist in the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. She joins me now from Washington. Noura, thank you for being with us. Dozens have been killed in clashes along the border today. It's become the deadliest day of violence in the region since 2014. Israel has been criticized for its response. Can you explain why Palestinians are so outraged by the embassy move?
So let's just start by saying that there isn't a border with Israel. Israel has never declared its border. So what you have are the armistice lines from 1949 that also constitute the 1967 lines. And so there is no border. Number two, there were no clashes between Palestinians and Israelis because there's a buffer zone. So Palestinians who are gathering in order to protest their dispossession and removal and they're demanding their right to return as refugees are basically not confronted by any Israeli civilians, not posing harm to any Israeli civilians, to any military installations, or to any Israeli soldiers. So there are no clashes. This was the lethal use of force against nonviolent protesters who did not pose a threat to Israel. Number three, this isn't just about the embassy move. Palestinians have been protesting for 70 years, demanding their right to return and their right to freedom. Since March 30th of this year, Palestinians have been gathering for the Great Return March, demanding that they have the right to return as refugees. It happens to coincide on the day that the U.S. is opening up its embassy in Jerusalem, and that is why there is a coincidence of these issues. But Palestinians are there every day protesting in silence or in marches, with or without the spectacle of an embassy opening.
So you do not believe then that Hamas is inciting these protesters?
It has been made very clear that this is a gathering of Palestinian civil society who have organized themselves without any direction from Hamas and, in fact, in contravention to them. Hamas is not just Israel's nightmare. Palestinians don't want them either, but that is actually a scarecrow in this situation. When we continuously look at Hamas as the source of the issues, what we're doing is we are dehumanizing Palestinians who have been protesting for 70 years. Hamas wasn't created until 1987. Why were Palestinians protesting before then? Palestinians are being removed in Jerusalem, in Sheikh Jarrah, in Hizmeh, within Israel, in al-Hiran. There is no Hamas there. This is a scarecrow, and we should engage in more responsible discussion about why Palestinians are protesting, how their human rights are being violated, and how Israel needs to be held to account.
So